Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and I'm back with another episode of my Draft Day Sports College Basketball playthrough with the Penn State Nittany Lions. It's been a while since I've had a video up. I've just had some travel and some other things came up that kind of pulled me away from it, so sorry for the delay. Hope you guys are still interested and ready to see how I finish out this one, but I'm starting to think that this might be my last chance with this Penn State team. One of the things that I've noticed with this game is the ratings change as you go from season to season. And a lot of things, I haven't seen a rhyme or reason to some of it, but one of the things that happened this season is we're finally into recruiting for next year. I've got 6 scholarships open, so this team is this is make or break, really. I got a lot of seniors on this team, some who will be starting like at point guard and small forward and even shooting guard. So I'm going to be in trouble going into next season regardless. But the recruits that I got from last season when I had 3 scholarships to give, they just really did not come through the way I thought they would. So I had 3 freshman recruits here: James Ratliff, a small forward; James Reichart, a power forward; and a shooting guard in Peter Peterson. And for whatever reason, when I got to the end of last season and these guys joined my team, Peter Peterson was rated 4 stars overall and a potential, I think, of 5. I never had a recruit like that. And I was like, wow, I was really excited because it looked like finally I got the kind of recruit that I needed. But then as the season has progressed, I'm now into, we're doing some of the, setting up some of the travel schedules. If you play the game, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. It's one of those things you do between the off season of the previous season and then starting your practice and recruiting for the next season. And as I go through all that, I come to this point, and he's now a 1-star recruit, 1-star potential, and 1-star overall. So I'm not really sure how that happened, why it changed, but so I really, it was a bummer because I went from having what I thought finally was the kind of player I could build a team around, and now he's just, he's going to be at most coming off the bench, and probably not coming off the bench too much, really, with the way this team is set up. So that was disappointing. The other 2 recruits, Ratliff comes in about where I thought he was. He was, I think, a 3-star recruit from my assistant who does scouting for me. He's got a 4-star potential, 2.5 overall as a freshman, so I think he's going to get some playing time. If I look at his profile, he's not too concerned with playing time. He could have some issues with the team. You can see it's early, but he's not too friendly and he's disliked, so that may play into it. And even another thing I didn't say about Peterson, but looking at his profile, he's a disruptive force. So he was going to be one of those guys who was probably going to be hard to manage anyway, or hard to coach, but I'd really just hate that his potential just went from looking really great to looking like crap. All of these ratings were, almost maxed out. Now the only thing he's looking good in is outside shooting, which as a shooting guard, you would hope that's what he's going to be rated high in. So God, what a disappointment. But then Reichart, who I drafted as a power forward and thought this guy had some potential just based on his size, he's a current 2-star, 2.5 potential. So if he gets play time, it might be that he develops into a 3-star and above type player who I can start if I need it, but not, once again, that recruiting class is not good enough for me to compete in this league. So I'm stuck here looking at the roster. I'm stuck with my best player being a 3.5-star player with a couple of 3-star guys who are both at small forward. So for me to take advantage of these guys, one of them's going to have to play out of position. and then the rest are just 2 stars. And this is 2 stars too. Like Jennings, for instance, a power forward who I gave a lot of playtime to last year. He's got 4 potential, but that doesn't help me because he's a senior. So he's going to have to take most of the time again at power forward, but I don't think he's going to give me much because his ratings aren't there. So once again, I think we're going to probably struggle to get above that bottom half or bottom third of the conference. And one of the things I took a look at last episode was, or one of the last few episodes, was where my job security is. And right now we're at 20%. So this is not gonna go well. I think this is probably gonna be my last season with this Penn State team. They're still wanting me to finish above 500, finish in top half. I just don't see it with this kind of roster. And I guess, if there's a lesson here and you're playing this game yourself, I think the lesson is it's harder than it looks to take over a team despite being in a high conference. It's still a high prestige conference. It's really hard to get the recruits if you don't already have the prestige. So it's kind of this cycle that's really hard to break out of. And I don't know if we'll see much advantage next season. But, it's like one of the things I've said before, this is one of the harder sports management games I've played. And I think there's a lot that plays into it. And I think it might be time for me to start looking at other things other than just recruiting. I think assistants are probably going to play a bigger role than I'm thinking. I think I need, like right now, I've got a, player development guy at 3 stars, a recruiting guy at 2, and a scouting guy at 3, which 3 would be hopefully above average. But I think you need either some well-rounded coaches where they've got all of these ratings showing some potential, or you're going to need some coaches who have better ratings at what you're assigning them for. So recruiting has been a struggle because this guy's really not that good at it. He's below average. And I can't just rely on this being a Penn State team in a high prestige conference. I think I really need better assistants. That's one key to it, I think. And then for the actual gameplay, I guess I'm going to have to make sure I'm running the right offenses, the right depth charts, and it's a lot to keep up with. But this episode, I thought I would just kind of take a look at the team, take a look at what I'm thinking about on the depth chart, and it might get started on the recruiting. There is a lot of openings, again, 6 scholarships that I've got available for next year, and there's a lot of good players out there. And finally, there's a lot of Pennsylvania players out there with good ratings, or at least my scouts got them rated high right now. So that could be a good thing, could be a good sign. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But here's what the depth chart is going to look like, I think. And there's going to be some guys, as usual, who are going to be odd man out, and there's not a whole lot I can do about that. I'm going with a starting lineup that's going to be heavy on seniors. 4 of the 5 guys are seniors, with Jennings probably being the weak link. I still have some hope. Last year, if you got a chance to see the season playthroughs from last season, I was really struggling between going with Parks, who was a recruit who I picked up a couple seasons ago, who I thought had some potential, or Sandin, who is a good scoring center but not a very good defensive center. Still has some potential, but he's never played up to his potential. I mean, 4 stars, and he's coming into his senior season with a 2-star overall rating. So he's not going to really be too reliable as a center, but I still want to put him in the mix because, last season he scored just under 9 points, gave me 3.5 rebounds in 20 minutes. So I think he's worth putting out there. But one of the things that, when you go to your depth charts, you're going to have the AI suggest all. And they've got Rijkaard here. as the primary backup at center. Now, I don't want to do that because I feel like Reichardt, as a freshman, he's a power forward. I want to give him time at power forward as well. So I'm probably going to swap this up a little bit. I'll probably do that offline, but I do think it's a good idea to give him some time at center because depends on how recruiting goes. I may not have anybody coming in to come off the bench next season with Sandin leaving this year. So it's probably a good idea to get Reichardt time at center, but I think Sandin needs to be the primary backup to Parks. I mean, Parks right now, 2 stars, 4 potential. I just wish some of these guys would start developing to that potential. I mean, the ratings progression, this guy's flat once again. Most of them are. And I think, as I said about the assistant coaches, I think that's where it's coming from. It's not enough that these guys get play time. I think you really need good assistant coaches to help out in that. And, I mean, all across the board, it's like Jennings, looking at him, I mean, he was 2-star last year. He got 25 minutes average at power forward, started every game, and his progression, he developed a little bit. I have to say he developed a little bit, but not too much. And I'm not sure why it's showing development here for him, but not, was it Parks that I was looking at as his rating progression? Yeah, I'm not sure why he's showing no progression here for these last 2 seasons. Very odd, because he got a lot of playtime last year as a center, started 6 games, so I would hope that he would have some progression showing there. So I don't know what's going on with that, but he is pretty decent at inside shooting and really at outside shooting. He's got potential in terms of defense and rebounding. He's not there yet. So he would have to, as a sophomore, he'd have to have a really good season. But going back to Sandin, he's good at drawing fouls, but his defensive ability just isn't there. I mean, he's maxed out at 5 on a lot of these categories. So that's why I think Parks should be the guy to go with at center. And then Uche, who is my best rated player. He didn't overwhelm me last year, but he had some good games towards the tail end of the season. He was player of the game 6 times. And I think if I looked at I can't see his game logs because it's from last season, but I don't know that he's the best point guard I'm going to have, but he's definitely the best on this team. We do have a backup in Odell, who has, as a junior, he has 1 more season, but again, just not much potential. He's probably going to get some time backing him up at point guard, and might give him some time at shooting guard because he's a good outside shooter and a decent free throw shooter. But then the big thing, I think, is really between Lee and Robinson, both small forwards. I think Lee, who has good ratings overall, is a good outside shooter. When he plays, he does well scoring-wise, and I'm playing him, I guess, a little bit out of position, but I'm going to go with him at shooting guard as a starter, and hopefully I'm going to get Ratliff some time at small forward, and as a freshman, see if he develops. He is not too concerned with playing time. I hope that's good, but again, his personality ratings are pretty bad. But that's how the depth chart looks now. I'll probably switch it out a little bit when we get further towards the start of the season. Like I say, Sandin's not in there yet, but he will be. Some of these guys, though, I'm just not going to worry too much about. I want to get Peterson some time just to see if maybe, I don't know, he's still, he's got the highest potential, I think, on the team as an outside shooter. So his athleticism's good. A lot of these things are, for him anyway, he's rated above average in the scoring categories. So that's, I don't want to, just dismiss him yet. So I'll probably try to get him some shooting guard time. But I've got to try to win this season. More than anything, more than giving these guys play time, more than worrying about that, I need to win. And there's going to be some guys I know who probably, here's another senior who just never really showed any kind of potential the 3 years he was here. So I don't know if it's going to be enough to compete again, because that is a poor looking bench. I mean, as poor as the starting lineup is, once you get to that bench, outside of maybe Ratliff, maybe Reichart, as a good guy to have in there for rebounds and stuff like that, this team is not good, and probably worse than last season, because I think I had just a little bit more depth last season than I do now. But we've started recruiting. I'm going to go ahead and advance because I've made some attempts at recruiting already, and then we'll take a look at some of the things I'm going with there. I don't know if we're quite to the point. Let me see where we're at. We've got summer camps, and that's another thing too. I spent some money this year. I'm going to 2 summer camps, and I'm going to I bought scouting reports for 2 regions. So I'm going to try to use all the money that I have available for recruiting. Although, again, I don't think it's going to help me keep my job, because it's all going to be about how we play. But that's kind of where I'm at. And so let's take a look at recruiting. On the recruit class, I like going there first because it tells you who's interested right off the bat. So we got a pretty decent center and a decent shooting guard who both show some interest, but that's about it. Now, in the recruiting, with 6 positions open, I'm just not even worried. I'm not really going for any one player. I'm just going to go, the best rated guys out there. I'm just going to keep contacting them, keep working on them. But the only ones that we really have any good interest from are here, these 1-star players in state. And like here's a center who we're currently his 2nd pick, but he's not what I need for sure. And then Desmond White, we're 2nd for him, small forward. And then another small forward who's got some interest, and then shooting guard who shows that he's got some interest. But let me start out here and go through these cool guys. And what I'll do is, since we're in the evaluation phase, I can host a recruit for a campus visit, so that's good. And I can watch game film and recruit the guys in person. So I'm going to start with this power forward here. He's 17th regionally. I haven't contacted him yet. I'm going to go ahead and see. And usually the first pitch I like to do is school location. So playing close to home is very important to him. And then conference prestige. Let me try it again. He doesn't have anything to say about that. But I do that because if location is important and they're an in-state for sure, then it's easier to get those guys interested. And then if with conference prestige, I mean, that's pretty much the thing I've got available. That's the biggest selling point I have with this team, because our individual prestige is so low. So here's another guy. I'm going to see if he's got any interest. Shows he does. So once again, I've got a couple things from him already. So let's just say academics and program facilities. So not much there. I'm going to see if this guy will visit this campus, because he's a guy who I've already I'm going to watch film, but I'm also going to host him. And then Brian Howell, 5-star, probably don't have much chance with him. He's a small forward, but we'll give it a chance. So I've already got a couple things from him, location and prestige. Let's see how playing time is with him. and maybe team prestige. It's very important to him. So he's going to be one that's going to be hard to get. But I'll go ahead and see if he'll visit just to get that out of the way. I'm going to watch film on him too. And so now we got a 4-star small forward here. In state. One thing that troubles me about him is his GPA, but I'm going to go ahead and watch film. I don't know if I've called him yet. Yeah, I've got a couple things on him. School location. Let's see what team prestige. It's not a big concern to him, thankfully. So I'm going to have him visit as well. And I think that's all I can do for the visits. So now let's keep going down through these guys who've got at least some interest. So school location, again, playing close to home's number one. Conference prestige, it's not that big a deal for him. So I think I can call one more person on this list. And let's just get this guy out of the way. He's from North Carolina, small forward. I don't know if he's going to... I can't even get him interested in talking. And so the last one would be from Connecticut, shooting guard. 3 stars, watching film, and I'm out of call time. So let me see if there's any guys here that I can scout live. Let's try Damon Evans. Won't cost as much to scout him live. And then here's a power forward, man. This guy would be phenomenal. I'm going to watch film, scout him live. And a point guard here, another really good looking point guard in state. I'm going to watch film, scout him live. And so I think that's probably where I'm at for this week. If you haven't seen previous episodes where I've done recruiting, maybe that'll give you an idea of what the goals are. But with recruiting, it's probably the hardest aspect of this game. It really comes down to making your pitches to these guys, finding out what's important to them, and then making the hard sell. And usually the hard sell is going to come during the contact period where you can actually visit recruit at home. So let's say you've got a recruit here whose most important aspect is conference prestige. Well, when you go visit him at home, you get a choice of what you want to pitch as the primary focus to get him to come to your school. So if the guy's most important factor for him is conference prestige, that's what you want to pitch. If it's playing close to home, that's what you want to pitch. So that's kind of how it plays out. And it's really... it's a lot of busy work, but if you don't do this, if you don't get this lined up, you're never, you can't get these recruits. And it's been evident with this team because even though our conference prestige is good, we're getting 2.5-star type recruits, and that's about it. So national camps review. I'm kind of looking here at in-state guys, and I think it will highlight any guys who are on your call list. And then East Coast Jam recruits, or no, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, these are guys were in attendance at the East Coast Jam, and so like if you click on him, it'll tell you what kind of performance he had there. This was a small forward, 23 points a game. That's really good. He's regional 2 overall at his position and overall player from New Jersey, but big thing with him is GPA, and I think this is one of the guys who I may have invited to campus, but we'll see. Russell Bickerstaff, he didn't stand out. How did he do, Brian Howell? He had a decent camp, and you see where he's at. Location's important, prestige is important for school. Willis Jones, he was in the top 20. So this is a shooting guard out of Maryland. He's probably going to have a lot of interest from a lot of big programs. Maryland being in our conference might be one of the top ones on his list. Bobby Johnson didn't stand out. He's out of North Carolina, though. And then Scott Tucker, shooting guard from Rhode Island, had a decent showing, but he's not really interested in our school right now. Matt Moncrief didn't stand out. Mark Tyndall, he was in the top 5. This is a center out of West Virginia who I haven't contacted yet. Well, I did contact him and he had no interest. And then Michael Turner didn't stand out. So our recruits, is a mixed bag. Tyndall, if I could get him interested, that would be great. But now, Las Vegas Review, nothing going on there. And I think we're still, I don't think we can do anything right now in terms of contacting any of these guys. I think we have to wait another week. Yeah. And so we're kind of waiting on some of those guys to see what their visits to campus were like. And Las Vegas Review recap. We may not have had any recruits at this one. Okay, so we're still in recruiting, but like I say, I don't think we haven't advanced to the next week yet. So I can't really do anything. Let's go one more week and see if we get some positive visits from some of these guys. All right, so Damon Evans, he appreciated the time. Brian Howell appreciated it. No, it wasn't worthwhile. So, and then Larry Shell appreciated it. And so now let's take a look at the recruiting class and see where the interest is laying. So still, no guys are warm yet who I need to be warm. Just these 1-star recruits here at the top. So now, he's at a campus visit. I mean, he might be worth going for. I don't have a whole lot on him. He's out of Delaware. But let me see if there's any other guys like Aaron Fleming. Have I had him? Have I contacted Aaron Fleming? No. I want to look for that center who was so good. Here's a power forward. I want to see what he's looking like. Have I contacted him before? He still has a little interest. I want to work this guy. So 5-star. Let me try him again. Nope. I wonder if he would even come to the school, if that'd be worthwhile to get him to Yep, he'll come. So okay, that's good. He has a little interest. Larry Shell, unfortunately, he's a small forward, and I don't really need another small forward more than like power forward or center, or point guard. And where was that point guard who was really rated highly in this guy, Jordan Smith. Got good ball handling and passing. I don't know if I've called him, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And being that he's in state, I'm just going to go ahead and let me do point guard only here. I'm going to see if he will, see if he'll visit. And then this guy who I've already got a little bit of interest on, looks like he's a hardworking kid. He's got very little interest, but he's showing cool. So I'll try to host him and see what that does. I'm going to go through the budget here, I know, but I'm looking to do what I need to do. So let's. Yeah, he's not interested right now. But one of the things I do like to do is once I start narrowing it down, I like to go by position when it comes to contacting them. And that seems to work a little bit better. Let's look at power forward and see what's out there. So we got Alvin Alexander Kellum, who has very little interest, but he's scheduled to come visit. This guy, I'm going to watch film. And let's see if I've contacted him. Let's go conference prestige and team prestige. All right. And then this guy, I don't think I've contacted him yet, but we'll see. He's not interested at the moment. Another 4-star power forward. Man, I can't get any of these guys interested right now. And I think a lot of that comes down to, I'm going to watch film on him and scout him live since he's in state. I think a lot of that comes down to, well, at least he answered the phone call. So he might be somebody I can work on next week. But shooting guard is going to be one that I'm going to have to get some interest in. Let me see if there's anyone here I can scout live, like Courtney Meeks. Watch film on him. I don't know if I've contacted him yet. Yeah, he has very little interest, but maybe that'll change as we go along since he's an in-state guy. And then another in-state, Freddie Moody, has very little interest right now, but I'm going to scout him and watch film. And Pat DeLoach, very little interest. Man, why would these guys in-state not have any interest in this team? So I can watch film on him, and then we'll go ahead and advance. But I'll probably go through a couple more maybe. Recruiting sessions, maybe one more, and then end this episode. And then I just mainly wanted to get back and let you see where we're at as a team going into next season. It's depressing. I've had some guys who I know have kind of shared their experiences with this game, and I feel like I'm not doing all that well. I know it's just a hard thing. I think I got lucky with the first team I took over. We made it to the tournament, Final Four tournament, the first season, and won the opening round game. And after that season, we did make it to another postseason tournament. Did make it back to the Final Four, but that was with a small prestige conference team. It was Austin Peay in the Ohio Valley Conference. And I just felt like the next obvious step would be to take over a program at a bigger conference, and that just didn't happen, unfortunately. And recruiting will take place for a while. I mean, we're in July. Season didn't start till November. So Worrell didn't have a good visit. Jordan Smith was okay. Kellums was okay. So at least I didn't lose those guys. Looking at the recruit class again, see if anybody's got any interest that's new. Nah, I mean, these two guys, they're cool now. So I don't know if I've taken a look at Kraft yet. We're on a short list. I probably want to give him some attention. But looking at the individual list again, so this is going to be shooting guard. Let me go back over to point guard, because, man, that would really be nice to have a good point guard. So it was Worrell, unfortunately, who didn't have that good visit. Jordan Smith. Was he a visit? Man, it gets so confusing when you're here because you're having to bounce back and forth. Jordan Smith, it was okay. So maybe I can get him interested. Let me go back and work on him. because for the moment, he hasn't even taken my calls. But this guy, he's looking like a pretty good point guard for now. 18th regionally. His parents want facilities to be that's a big factor. I think we've got decent facilities. Let me go ahead and call this guy. Watch some film off the bat and give him a dial. So school location, it's very important to him. Conference prestige is very important. So that's two good things I think we can pitch him on. And it's good. Team prestige is at the bottom of his priority list. So right there, those are three things that we really stand out a little bit. I think we've got the prestige for sure. So I'm going to work on Smith a little bit more, and Moncrief. And for whatever reason, the evaluation's low on him, and he didn't stand out. But he's like the fourth rated point guard, so that's a little bit interesting. We're in the dead period, and the dead period, you're basically only able to call and watch recruit films or watch film, so it's not a whole lot's going to happen here. So let's go back to power forward. Those are two areas I want to really work on. Now Kellum, he had a bad visit, but this guy, he's regionally the top power forward. Getting him would be phenomenal, of course, but again, it's a little too late for me at this moment. But I'm going to go school location. That's a big one. Conference prestige, not a big concern. Team prestige, it's one of the things he's looking at. So I've got some things to work on with him, at least. Maybe get him interested, even though he didn't have a great visit. He is top player, probably. What is that? 7th nationally. He's the top player I'm looking at, I think. Let's bounce over to shooting guard, see what we got here. I want to get these in-state guys. He had very little interest. Did Meeks come to the school? I don't know if he did. No, none of these guys have visited. Freddie Moody, he didn't visit, but I want to try to get him interested. And school location, come on. I'll have to call him next week. Usually when they hang up on you, that means they're going to answer, so he's jumped all the way up here. He's another guy, would be a great recruit, number 1 regionally shooting guard. It would suck if I get a great recruiting class the year that I pretty much get fired, but if it happens, it happens. So here's a Rhode Island guy. I'm going to dial just to see if he's got any interest. Yep, he's got some interest. School location and team prestige, not a big concern. Conference prestige. So I can probably work on this guy. I can watch some film on him. But that'll be all I can call this week. Who was that? Freddie Moody? No, that was Tom Tucker. And I think that's all it's going to be now. Deloach. Watch some film on him. I think watching film generally just gives you an idea of the play, what offenses they're comfortable with, the defenses, they're running, I guess, they're comfortable with, and the type player they are. So it's important to do. It doesn't cost a whole lot. It's $20. But after a certain level, I stopped focusing too much on it because I would rather spend that money in the visits, either having them visit me, our campus, or me visiting them. So center. Yeah, I haven't looked at center here, I don't think. So we got Ted Brown. Some guys here that are pretty good. I guess the top center who was out there, he's not interested. But one of the things, too, I'll do occasionally after I've worked the recruiting a while, I'll just take a look at all recruits, the full recruit list, and look at any interest that I may have on guys that aren't on my list. Like, is this guy on my list? He is. I can dial him. I thought I was out of call time. School location, conference prestige, and team prestige. All right. I'll probably watch some watch some film on him too. How was he rated? 15th. And man, this guy, 4.0. I'm gonna watch some film on him. I think the guy who is rated the highest, I don't see him here anymore. Maybe his ratings, these ratings will fluctuate as the season goes on. So like shooting small forward here. Let's see, position Chris Kittles out of Maryland. He's not on my list. Brian Howell, couldn't really get him interested. Had a poor visit, I think. Damon Evans, he's warm. We are getting some interest from him. That'll be good. But anyway, that's probably how I'll end it since we're in the dead period anyway. But I wanted to get back and go on with this playthrough. Appreciate your patience from being out for so long. But like I say, some things came up. But what I'm going to plan on doing offline is I'm going to go through the rest of the off season until we get started. And I'm going to tinker with the depth chart a little bit. But more than anything, I'm going to be focused on recruiting just to make sure if I do get lucky and stay with this team next season, that I'll have a good recruiting class. It's going to be important because with 6 scholarships available, man, I can't afford to not have a good recruiting class next year. But that'll be it for this episode, and I'll see you next time where we'll probably start playing some games out or simming some games. Thanks a lot for watching.